needed to know what was wrong. I had to find out what it was. And
first thing I wanted to have is no toxic cleaning products.
Just because you have brain change doesn't mean you can't still do things. You may do it differently. You might need more time.
I decided to turn my disability into my ability, and around 7th and 8th grade, I started playing able-bodied sports.
If we were knowledgeable, if we were educated, we would have solved signs earlier. Now
you battle and you battle for every single inch of help.
Like, for example, if James's head is bothering him, he has peppermint essential oil with a roller top on it, and he knows to roll his head, but he has to be prompted and reminded.
A New Perspective, hosted by Tim Sutton. Brought to you by A Better Understanding, bringing you a better understanding and a new perspective on disabilities.
Hey everybody, this is Tim Sutton, trying to bring you a new perspective, another episode where I bring people on with, or actually making an impact on the disability community. I've been able to, over the past 3 years, to bring on people with disabilities to share their story, as well as highlighting and spotlighting organizations who are making a difference in the disability community. So if this is your first show, just a real quick thing about me is I'm a retired law enforcement officer in the state of Virginia, and 33 years, and I've worked probably 20 of those years, the last 20, with a lot of people with disabilities, mostly autism, other intellectual disabilities, and Alzheimer's and dementia. But the purpose of the podcast here is to bring you a new perspective of things that are out there and people who are making a difference. So I want to thank you for being here. And my guest today is Nate Wise. He is actually the Communications and Public Relations Manager for a nonprofit called SOAR 365, who is making a big impact on the disability community in so many different ways. So I'd like to bring him on board and talk about the SOAR 365 nonprofit, and kind of give you some information on what they're doing to really make lives better all over the area. So welcome, Nate. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tim. I'm happy to chat with you today.
So you're based out of Richmond, Virginia, right? Kind of like me.
Yes.
Okay. Well, give us, we're going to talk about SOAR 365, and just give us a general overview of what you all do, what your mission is, and we'll get into the discussion.
Sure. Yeah. I appreciate the opportunity. You know, our mission statement really gives a good overview right away of what we're trying to do, which is creating life-fulfilling opportunities for people with disabilities. And so that goes across a wide range of things that we do. You know, I think folks in the community have been introduced to our organization in a lot of different ways, or sometimes have not been introduced yet. But, you know, when we chatted before, I know you even mentioned that one of the aspects that our organization helps folks with disabilities is employment services and placing people in jobs. But that's only one small part of what we do. You know, this organization's been around since the 1950s, started by families who wanted to make a difference for other families like themselves that had children, had family members with disabilities, other loved ones. And so it's been around quite a long time. SOAR 365 is part of a greater organization in the country called ARC. And so at one point we were called the ARC of Greater Richmond. But about 6 years ago, the organization rebranded to SOAR 365 to kind of better demonstrate our independence and the goals that we have in mind in terms of helping people reach, you know, their full potential all year round, right? That's where 365 comes from. And so, you know, as I'm sure we'll dig into a little bit more, that includes youth services, that includes adult day support, that, you know, covers all kinds of different things, the employment that we discussed. And so, you know, there are a lot of different ways that we can benefit families, you know, who are looking for help, and we enjoy that role that we play in the community, and know that we're making a really positive difference for people.
Right. And, you know, I know in Virginia schools, public school systems, children can go to school from age 2 to 22. And there's a lot of question, okay, after 22, what's next? You know, and me being a law enforcement, you know, profession for many years, a lot of times it was law enforcement having to get involved in different situations with autism and some of the behaviors related to autism that seem kind of unusual. And when the individuals out in the community and they're just hanging around, standing in stores and not really doing anything, they get called in as being suspicious. And, that's why I've always found it necessary and vital for officers to be trained. Some disabilities, you can look at the person and tell they have a disability. Other autism and such things, if there's no underlying issue, they look like anybody else in the community, any neurotypical person. So for officers to understand when they walk up, maybe they can recognize behavior that goes, you know what, I remember that autism training and the intellectual disability training I had let me tone myself down and address this. But I know that's a fear for so many families, but SOAR 365 is there to help probably even in high school and elementary school, but even beyond that age 22, to pretty much acclimate individuals to be able to go out and live a productive life. So I admire what you all are doing. Give me an idea of some of the varieties. I know you've got Camp Baker. You do help with employment, but what other things does the nonprofit offer for the individuals and the family?
Yeah, absolutely. It starts at a very early age. One of our services is pediatric therapy. And so we have trained professionals who are doing, early childhood intervention, outpatient care, making sure that families, when they have babies, toddlers, elementary age children, are getting the help they need early on and making sure that they're set on a path that's going to help them succeed, to the best of their abilities throughout life. And so it starts there, but, it continues with our youth services programs where we have after school care, we have daytime support where families can come in and receive treatment or lessons, whether it's literacy, whether it's getting, assistive technologies that they need, things like that. From there, just like you mentioned with, once you're an adult, a lot of families aren't sure what's next. And, some of them did receive help throughout their lives, but those resources may end when they reach a certain age and they're not sure if there's an option for them next. Well, we have adult day support. So if it's, someone with a disability of any kind, and just like you said, some just, disabilities are seen and you can tell right away. Other times you really don't know, but everybody has their own situation. All our adult day support programs give them a place to go. They spend their time at our Saunders Avenue location, Staples Mill, Westwood, or at Camp Baker, which you mentioned. And they're able to spend their day there socializing, learning life skills, interacting with other people, and really finding meaning in their life, finding joy in their life, which maybe, if they were stuck home alone or there wasn't somebody there to care for them, then they're not getting the specialized care that they need. And that makes a huge difference as well. And, another thing is we talk a lot about, you mentioned Camp Baker. We operate a summer camp there every summer. It's 10 weeks long. Most of those weeks are directed specifically to adults. So when you think of summer camp, a lot of the time you think it's just for children. And we do have multiple weeks where children are, of course, welcome and get to enjoy, the traditional summer camp experience. But most summer camps are not equipped to help people or to take on adults who need somewhere to be in the summer. Their caretakers, their loved ones, kind of need that outlet. And Camp Baker gives them the opportunity to come. We have, a wheelchair accessible tree house. We have living quarters that give them full care by trained professionals, that they may need. Sometimes it's as simple as, help using the restroom. Sometimes it goes beyond that, but, a lot of families can be apprehensive and not sure if there's anybody out there that can help them with these specialized needs. And we're there to fill that gap. And so, from day one to, later in life, our organization is there to help families and people with disabilities navigate those challenges.
So is it, you say you've, is some of this a stay overnight thing, or is it some stay overnight and then other ones, show up each day?
Sure. So you can choose either one. So our camp, which you can find more information about at soar365.org, it starts June 9th this year. We've been doing it for a very long time. We actually just recently received a very generous grant from the FCIDD and the Chester Civitan Club of over $71,000 that are going to help us add some really interesting improvements to Camp Baker, including a utility terrain vehicle, which will help people that are wheelchair bound or things like that, have mobility issues, reach places they weren't able to reach before. Now they'll be able to get to the bonfires. They'll be able to go fishing in certain places that other campers go to. And so it's really, really cool. And we're excited about that. But yeah, basically you're able to choose overnight care for a week. And we have camp counselors who are there just during the day and some who are there overnight with you. And then you can also choose just, a daytime camping when you dropped off in the morning, go home in the evening. But yeah, and it goes week to week, and there's 10 weeks total. And it's a really special experience because, again, a lot of these folks were never afforded the same, opportunities that you and I may have had. I have so many amazing memories of going to summer camps, and it's something I never thought about, that other kids that weren't able to join me there, and this gives them a place to go at Camp Baker.
Yeah, there are resources, and that's why I wanted to bring you on. That's why I bring on a lot of my guests, because so many of the families, I feel like they live in a bubble and they don't know what's out there. Our nonprofit here in Richmond area, a better understanding.org. We have parties and events. A week and a half ago, we had a birthday party for anybody who had a birthday in 2024. Now we have a big celebration. And, we're trying to get it out. We didn't have that big of a turnout because it was Memorial Day weekend, but we did have probably about 40 people. But I think for these families to understand, these individuals to understand that there are resources, people out there that want to, be out there with them, working with them, teaching them, spending time with them, because a lot of times they're the ones that didn't get invited to the parties, didn't get invited to the birthday parties. Sent invitations out and nobody showed up, but this is all about them. And I know we just came up with a new catchphrase, celebrating uniqueness, and spelling uniqueness is YOU, uniqueness. It's celebrating you. Everybody's unique. So just letting families know what's out there. Hopefully they watch this podcast and watch other podcasts, learn more about SOAR 365 and all. But I admire what you're taking part in. It's making an impact, because so many of these parents and caregivers are praying daily that they live one day longer than their child, because if I'm not here, who's going to help take care of them? Who's going to teach them how to care for themselves? And that sounds like what SOAR 365 is doing. So tell me some success stories that you've had, whether it's helping somebody gain employment or just deal with the maze of life. Share some successes that you can remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And one that relates to the birthday party you threw is just last week we had our annual prom that we have for our adult day support, which is a really special, fun day. Each of our locations, they let the participants select a theme, plan the party. And so one location did, kind of like a Hawaiian theme, and they had leis and they all dressed up kind of tropical. And another one, they picked like 90s, I believe, kind of fair, and which unfortunately for us is already kind of retro now. It feels like it was yesterday. But it's really special. They're so excited to dress up and come in and enjoy that. It was, as somebody who helps run our social media, we had a parent of a participant. The participant's name was Xander, and she posted a video that morning of him getting dressed with his bow tie, and he was so excited. And I was lucky enough to see him that day, and he never stopped smiling. Those things are really special. We have a number of kind of big picture successes that we're really, really proud of lately. For the third year in a row, we were just named a top workplace by the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Which is really special for us. Our CEO, John Walker, takes it really seriously to be an employer of choice, is what we call it. That doesn't just include staff members like myself, but that includes our supported employment and business solutions folks who oftentimes have a disability themselves, and we're looking to give them gainful employment that helps them find fulfillment in their lives, find independence, be able to live on their own and get all the things that we enjoy, the amenities in life that we enjoy. And so winning that award for a third year straight, before we would always talk about it, trying to become an employer of choice and being best in class. And now, I feel like we've reached that. Now we're trying to maintain that status, right? I mentioned the Camp Baker grant that we got just last fall. It was announced that we would be one of 6 nonprofits in the greater Richmond area to be receiving a portion of $1 million grant from the Lego group.
Oh, wow.
Everybody knows Lego. Everybody loves Lego. I think anybody who has been lucky enough to be introduced to, childhood care and things know that Lego plays a huge part in that. It's because of the creativity and the movement of, fine motor skills and things like that. Lego is building a manufacturing site here in Chesterfield County, Virginia. And so we're going to benefit from their outreach. And that's really special for us to have been selected for that. We're looking forward to having them to one thing I haven't mentioned is that we operate a park right next to our primary offices called Park 365. And we've won numerous awards for that as well, both from Virginia Living Magazine, Richmond Magazine. We're hoping that we'll win Best Community Playground again this year. So a lot of these things, are really positive. Obviously, me being the communications and PR manager, really positive outreach for us. We want to show people that we are best in class. We're going to help your children, your loved ones, to the best of our abilities, and we have the resources to do so. And so things like that Lego connection, our park, our camp, are kind of the gateway into learning more about what we do and where else we can help. And so, even families who don't have that direct need may know somebody else who doesn't know about us, and they may be able to direct them. And so, each of those successes and awards and things like that, those mean a lot because it tells us that we're on the right track. But at the end of the day, what really, really matters is that each individual impact that we're making on each person that we help across all of our departments. And so, it's a really, again, it's a special experience for us, and some of those success stories show us that we're headed in the right direction.
Well, I'd say Lego couldn't have found a better place to make a new home than Chesterfield County in that case. And for the votes for the best playground, where would people go to cast their vote? Or, hopefully they'll go out there and take a look at it, but where would they go to cast that vote?
Yeah, absolutely. So the most recent voting was through Richmond Magazine. I do believe it's closed now, but they do these every year. So every year, Richmond Magazine, I mentioned Virginia Living Magazine. There are other outlets out there, and they allow people to both nominate and then to vote for folks who make the biggest impact. And so there's plenty of categories that we would fall into. Some of those are related to our Park 365. Others are related to Camp Baker and our summer camp that we host there. And then other can be, nonprofit charity events. Just last month, we had our Ladybug Fund wine tasting and silent auction. It's a long name, but it describes everything we do. It's an extremely important event for us that we put on every year, where this year we were sold out. It was our most successful, ticket sales ever. We had over 500 people there. We had over 100 volunteers helping out at the event. And we raised, I believe, over $250,000 towards our programs. And so even that can be included in these kinds of awards campaigns, things like that. And that's not the main thing we're looking for, but again, it helps us reach more people, get in front of eyes, people who are just flipping through the magazine, saying who's the best in Richmond or Virginia and who's making an impact, and those things can trickle down into us helping reach more people. But yeah, each of those things is fantastic for us to share and show that we're making that community outreach effort.
Right. Well, let me ask you. I mean, I know to do what I do, I travel around the country and teach autism, ID, and Alzheimer's. you have to have a passion. And sometimes you wonder where that passion came from. Obviously, you were very passionate about SOAR 365, what you do. Just a little background. What led you in this direction to get involved with SOAR 365? What pushed you to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And my honest answer is it wasn't necessarily something that I was looking for specifically. I'm from the Annapolis, Maryland region. Both my parents worked in Washington, D.C. I was around, one of the world's biggest cities with some of the most powerful people. And I saw both the high end of living and the luxury that comes with that, and also the people who are in need. And both my parents are heavily involved in the Lions Club. My grandfather was a high ranking member of the Lions Club, and he kind of trickled down our family. And so I had a firsthand view of giving back and trying to get involved and raising funds for people who need it in the community my entire life. And I ended up going to James Madison University for undergrad and VCU here in Richmond for my master's degree. Okay. But I never, if I'm being honest, I never truly made enough time in life to volunteer as much as I would have liked to do these things. And I ended up working in college athletics for a decade. And I loved that aspect of things. I got to give back to student athletes, to young people who were trying to find their way through, higher education and figuring out what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. And that was really special in its own way. But I'm getting married later this year to my wonderful fiance, Emily, and thank you. And we were looking for the next step in our lives together. And, coming to the Richmond region was something that was really interesting to us. And when we started looking, I found out more about SOAR 365, who had this job opening. And for reference, this was only about 3 months ago. So I'm relatively new to the organization, but it has been an amazing experience so far. But yeah, I saw this opening and I started doing research into what they were doing, what their mission was, and how they are involved in all aspects of, life in Richmond. And so I became really intrigued. And as I met the people, I saw the facilities, I saw, some of the participants and clients and things like that we were impacting daily. It went kind of from I'm looking for a job to, I think this is something I really want to be a part of, And so I was extremely excited when the offer came in to join the organization. And it's become extremely clear right away that, we have amazing people across all departments doing great work and people who really, really care. I appreciate that you see my passion for it because it's growing every day and my involvement in things. But we have folks who, I believe in our HR department, Patty just celebrated 37 years at the organization. And we have others who have, of course, been there plenty long, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And they stick around because they know that what they're doing makes a difference. They know that the people are great, that the community respects what we're doing and appreciates what we're doing. And so when you have that, it's not just a job. It's not just a desk job that you're going to.
Right.
Although I spend plenty of time at my desk and that's the way it is. But, being able to get up for an hour and walk through the park or that we have, or pop in and say hi to Drew and April and others who are in our adult day support program and just, brighten their day a little bit. It's a really special opportunity for us. And so, that's what makes it really unique.
Well, you and I have another connection. James, class 1988.
There we go.
And it's interesting where we end up because I graduated with the bachelor's business administration, and actually had started working on an MBA. And a couple of friends of mine had applied with the police department, and I was burnt out from school, so I applied. Figured I'd be a police officer for a couple of years and go do something else, and then 33 years later, I'm finally able to retire. But yeah, it's something that's inside you and don't realize that it's inside you, because I'd never worked with individuals with any type of disability to my knowledge until about 2002. And the sheriff actually told me I was going to be in charge of a program run for the sheriff's office. It's called Project Lifesaver, and it's basically helps deal with the wandering elopement issue where the individual wears a transmitter on their wrist or the ankle. And if they go missing, the caregiver calls 911. I have a team. We could go out and actually track them and bring them home. But just having the interactions with people in the disability community, something that I had no idea was there, all of a sudden started to emerge. And I'm like, this is important. And working with the families and starting to travel around the state and teach police officers public safety. Then I'm going around the country teaching it. And it just builds and builds and builds. And something that was there, I had no clue. But this passion just started to develop. And it's something I wanted to do more and more and more of. So, yeah, it's interesting because, I was curious what your story was, because a lot of times people, if I ask that, they said they had a family member with a disability. And I find it so unique when you didn't have a family member, but you get involved in this and you see how important it is.
Yeah. And I think it's a good lesson for people that they don't have to have a direct connection to be involved, right? With our organization, you can obviously, just like many other nonprofits, you can donate, you can volunteer your time, you can attend events and things like that. But whether it's within the disability community or something else, I strongly recommend to people that they find something that they care about, whether they have that direct connection or not, and get involved. It may not be the perfect, experience, but that's okay. There are a ton of different areas in our world where people need your help. And if you have the means to do so, if you have the time to do so, then I think it's a very fulfilling and very positive thing that you can do. I think we all hear about it. We all have a friend or a family member who volunteers, who donates, whatever it might be. And, I encourage everybody, especially in this day and age where, the effect that social media has on us, the amount of, screen time that all of us have, getting out, being in front of people, the people with disabilities that we work with every single day are just that. They're people. They love having conversations. They love spending time with you and getting to know you just like you would with anybody else. So taking that first step may be difficult, but I highly encourage it and think that it can benefit not only, people in your community, but can make a big impact on you. And so just like, for me, it was for a job, but whether it's that or just volunteering or whatever it may be for you, I think it's something extremely positive that is worth exploring.
Well, you need funds to run a nonprofit. You do need money to run a nonprofit, but I think one of the bigger element that, if you want to say boots on the ground, when you're at the playground or whatever, I said, just donating or giving that time, spending the time and taking the time to be there and to be a part of it. Because you want to. That's all. Again, you need the money to run, but I think that's more precious than those dollars. And the people that are coming to the events and participating or getting involved, they're seeing that face-to-face aspect, somebody taking the time to be a part of their life. And I think that's one of the largest things out there, just teaching them and showing them that they matter just as well as anybody else. So if anybody wanted to get involved in SOAR 365, what's the best way to get involved? Contact information or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way, just like I've mentioned a couple of times, is to visit our website, which is soar365.org, and SOAR is spelled SOAR, as you can see on my shirt here. And so all of our information is there. All of our services are spelled out for you. All the ways that you can donate, you can contact our volunteering staff, things like that are all there. That's the number one way to do it. And, there's contact information there for anybody you may want to chat with. Awesome.
Well, Nate, we're about out of time. It's a quick 30 minutes, but absolutely. I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing this information. Hopefully more people can hear about it and get involved, and hopefully we can have another discussion down the road. Sounds like y'all are doing some amazing things, and very much. I'm amazed at different groups out there, such as yourself, that people may not have heard of that are doing some amazing things. So thank you so much, and I hope we can get you back here again.
Absolutely. I appreciate giving me the chance to share our message and talk a little bit about what we're doing. I look forward to the next time we chat.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, everybody, hopefully you got a little bit of information there. That was a great conversation, and there's so many resources out there, so many groups and people doing some amazing things. So it's nice to be able to spotlight some of them. I hope you learned something. Come back next episode. Hopefully we'll have some more good information for you. And I just want to thank everybody for watching, tuning in, and Dad, I love you.